Shotgun snap to Daniels. Blitzes on. Throws an arching spiral pass into the end zone, and it was caught by McLaurin in the corner. Yes! Touchdown! In the back corner of the end zone. 27-yard touchdown. Knee was down. Ball was caught. 2:10 to play. Oh, what a catch!
My pants.
Oh, man.
All right,
looking at our Week 4 highest scoring games going into the weekend, we had to start with something that would make Matthew happy. The Jaden Daniels, Terry McLaurin connection. And what do you know? The Commanders-Cardinals, some real high-end defenses. The point total is at 50. That leads the week. The Cardinals are favored by 3.5 points at home in this one. Matthew, was last week enough to restore your confidence in scary Terry McLaurin?
A little bit. Certainly this week, I like him. I'm at wide receiver 22. I like the fact that he had a 26% target share in week 3, a 24.7 average depth of target. They were finally taking some deep shots to Terry McLaurin. Obviously, you saw the touchdown there at the end of the game. They did an early one as well, I believe a 55-yarder. So that was nice. They've started to move him around. Cliff Kingsbury said, hearing the criticism of the first 2 weeks, we have to start moving McLaurin around. I will say, though, as much as I love Terry McLaurin, who is one of my favorite players in the NFL, somewhere up there in terms of, we have a number 17 jersey up there. Oh, all the way in the back corner, if you can see it there. We have a 17 McLaurin on the jersey wall. But he's not earning targets at a massive rate. And again, they want to be a little bit more certainly balanced. They like Brian Robinson. No Austin Eckler in this game, so maybe they do it. Maybe you can see it way back up there as well. But he's not somebody that's getting 14 targets or 12 targets or even he's getting 6 to 8. Now, there are going to be some deep passes, and you love the matchup against Arizona as no team gives up a higher catch rate to wide receivers than the Arizona Cardinals. Right? He had twice as many receiving yards last week as he did in the 2 weeks combined. So I think game script and sort of the game script in this game and the momentum from last week, I think you're starting him. Again, I'm at wide receiver 22, so low-end wide receiver 2, high-end wide receiver 3. But after a big game here, I might think about trying to sell high because I do think that this is a team ultimately that wants to win on the legs of Jaden Daniels and Brian Robinson and then take their shots, setting up the run, Connor.
Yeah, I'm with you all the way. I mean, listen, this is an amazing play, an amazing touchdown, but we know what the Commanders want to do right now. They were throwing to Austin Eckler a lot before he got hurt, as you mentioned, Matthew. So I don't even know where he ranks in the order of being a factor in this offense from a consistency basis, kind of that Matthew pointed out.
I think it's a little concerning and McLaurin's a more sophisticated receiver than this, but he's not really being used at it. There are Will Fullerish aspects to how he's being utilized at the moment, where if he's not catching that 35-yard bomb, then do we have confidence that he's going to be able to compensate with, these 8-10-yard receptions? At the moment, probably not. Also, sneaky thing, Arizona's defense, which I think everyone thought would be really bad going into the season, they've been not terrible. The past 2 weeks, particularly against the Lions, they only give up 20 points. They were great against Stafford and the Rams. They got lit up by Josh Allen, but right now that's the best offense in football to this point.
Through 3 weeks, they're 16th against the pass in terms of passing yards per game. They're middle of the pack.
Yeah, they've been a middle of the pack defense going up against what should be 3. Well, the Rams are so banged up, but there's still Stafford at quarterback. But going up against the Lions, certainly, and the Bills, that's a pretty good outcome.
They're peskier than you might think. The over-under, I think, opened at 51.5. It's down to 50. We still expect a high-scoring game here. But I agree with you. Just in terms of a number one wide receiver on a prolific offense, McLaurin just doesn't get the kind of targets that you see a CeeDee Lamb, a Malik Neighbors, Deontay Johnson. Some of these guys are just massive target share guys. And so I do like him this week, like I said, but I might think about, if he has another big game, I might think about trying to see if you could sell high a little bit as well. Because, by the way, I said this in the preseason, Luke McCaffrey's going to be a thing. Yep. We saw it start to happen a little bit on Monday night. As he gets more comfortable in this offense, you're going to see Luke McCaffrey getting more and more targets as well.
He's kind of filling the role that we thought perhaps Diami Brown would fill more of, but Luke McCaffrey's been on the field more than expected.
Different wide receiver. I mean, they're using Diami Brown. Noah Brown, the former Texan and former Cowboy, has carved out a role on this team as well. I think they're using a lot of different guys, and, Zach Ertz, but that's my only thing, is that Terry McLaurin has a big name and is considered a wide receiver 1, but I think he's going to put up wide receiver 2-3 numbers, and given the buzz around Jaden Daniels in this offense, that you might be able to, I'm not looking to immediately get rid of him, but I'm just saying, like, I think you may want to think about selling high if he has a good game this week against Arizona, and I think he will.
Our next game, the Bengals are 4.5-point favorites traveling to play the Panthers. The point total in this one.
By the way, Trey McBride, just as before we move off that game real quickly, Trey McBride wasn't on our injury thing, but he's also been a little bit banged up as well.
He's in concussion protocol.
Yes, he is in the concussion protocol.
Yes.
So just something to keep in mind. If Trey McBride were to miss, maybe the human Dortch, Greg Dortch, gets a little bit more love in the middle of the field from my ride or die, Kyler Murray.
The point total for Bengals-Panthers is 47, Jay. And when you look deeper into this game, the good news is T. Higgins is back, but it was a quiet return. What can we expect from him going forward?
So DraftKings has his receiving prop set at 52.5 yards. I think that's about the right ballpark where he's not going to be fully back to being T. Higgins. He looked fine physically, I thought, on Monday night against the Commanders, but he's probably not fully ramped up all the way. Suspect that this is still going to be a Jamar Chase game. Above all, Matthew's got him as number 1 wide receiver this week. I was surprised to see that on DraftKings he's only set at 73.5 receiving yards. That seems a little bit low for Jamar Chase. Think back to the explosives that the Panthers have given up this year, particularly back in week 1 to the Saints. So I'd be taking the over on Jamar Chase at 73.5.
Yeah, that's just too low for,
I think
Jamar Chase.
Jamar Chase.
He was set 8 yards higher against the Commanders, and he went comfortably over.
Yeah.
So Jamar Chase is someone who should just be set in the high 70s minimum every week, I think.
Yeah, so I'm of two minds on T. Higgins here. A little bit same with. So here's the positives of T. Higgins, right? The Bengals had 4 end zone targets last week against my Commanders. Higgins got 2 of them, right? And he had 30% of the team's red zone targets. Played 90% of the snaps last week in his debut. Almost a 16% target share, the second highest on the team. So all those are positives. Plus, by the way, we know T. Higgins is good. Here's the concern, though. He just hasn't had a massive target share, right? Since week 3 of last season, Higgins has only 1 game above a 20% target share. So you're looking at a guy that's just sort of always in that 15%, 16% range. Just I think they're using Gesicki and Eric All a little bit more. Andre Yoshevich has given them some good snaps as well. And so, I just feels like, I guess, assuming health for Jamar Chase just feels like the ceiling on T. Higgins is capped, that he's much more of a just rock solid kind of in that wide receiver 2-3 range. I am at wide receiver 23 this week. If there's something to hang your hat on, obviously, to your point about the Carolina secondary, Jay, the Panthers have allowed 5 receiving touchdowns to wide receivers through 3 games. That is tied for the 3rd most. So given the fact that he got a couple end zone targets last week, I think there's a decent chance Higgins gets in the end zone in this one.
Yep. The best thing that all of these Bengals have going for them, fantasy-wise, is the defense is terrible.
Yeah.
I think it's just unsalvageable at this point with the talent there, what they've shown through 3 weeks, outside of just bizarrely always being able to get in Patrick Mahomes' head, no matter the year seemingly. But the fact is, it seems like they're just going to be in these shootouts over and over again, and they're going to compile a lot of stats.
Yeah.
Our final game here, the Bills, the undefeated Bills, are underdogs against the Ravens.
We talked about this a little bit, I think, on Wednesday. That's a bizarre line to me, Jay.
Yeah, I think the thing is that it's an extra day of rest for the Ravens, which does matter. The Bills are traveling on the shorter week. That matters, and that's probably worth perhaps half a point or so. And then the other thing, too, is that, like, the Ravens, they were so far and away the best team last year in the regular season. That is still being baked in. So if you think that team is gone, that this Ravens team without Mike McDonald, without some elements of that defense is just new, then this line would be wrong. Also, the Bills, in terms of what they've done so far, like they've lit up some bad defenses. Josh Allen is doing a lot with Yak so far, which is perhaps less sustainable. But I agree. Certainly on face value, you wouldn't think that, because this line is saying the Ravens are just flat out better than the Bills on neutral. Yeah. I'm not sure that I'm quite there yet.
Yeah.
Point total is at 46.5. Matthew, can James Cook stay hot against the Ravens defense that is the best against the run so far, a couple of weeks into the NFL season?
I think he could, just because he's now getting goal line touches, right? That's the thing. Last year, if you'd asked me that question against this same Ravens defense, just to give you some good Ravens stats, by the way, they're running hot. The Ravens run defense is running hot, but they also have the #1 ranked rush defense so far this year. They're giving up just 50 yards per game. They allow 2.6 yards per carry to opposing running backs. They've allowed the 5th fewest fantasy points to opposing running backs. Now, I mean, like, some of it is, great, you stop Zamir White. Like, everyone stops Zamir White. But, they played Pacheco in week 1. So, I mean, it's been a mixture of, some good, some bad, obviously, and then the not Jacksonville, because they played the Bills last week. But, they whatever. And the Cowboys can't really run, right? So they stopped Dowdle and Zeke. So whatever. They stopped Pacheco to an extent. But I think what helps you here with James Cook, right? He already has 5 goal line rushes this year. That was half of his total all of last year. Like, they're using him when they get in closer. He's got 4 touchdowns in 3 games. One of them was a pass, but 3 of them were running scores as well. He's also got a 12.5% target share on this team. It's 3rd in the team as well. So, I mean, it's like, it's Kincaid, it's Khalil Shakir, and then it's James Cook. So I think the passing game usage, the fact that if they get in close, they're likely going to give him a shot or 2 into the end zone. I'm at running back 10. I think just his usage, and we expect points to be scored in this game. The over-under is 46.5. I think you can still trust James Cook. The Ravens defense is good. I don't know that it's as good run defense as maybe the stats suggest.
Yep, no, I agree with that. Cook, his scrimmage yards are set 76.5 on DraftKings, plus 135 to get in the end zone, so a bit north of, once you take the margin out, probably about a 40% chance to get in the end zone. So I think he's going to be a very stable source of production, because just those receptions, they just give him an added higher floor. Yeah. And this team it has now become a team that is somewhat built around the run.
Sunday night, it's a matchup between 2 of the league's top playmakers. Josh Allen leads the Bills against Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. Sunday, 7 Eastern on NBC.
Do you think Tirico or Collinsworth will mention that Josh Allen is a proud Fantasy Life investor on the game?
You should have somebody pass that message to them and see if we can get it through.
I'm gonna text somebody.
You got a chance.
Let me see.
There's a non-zero. Yeah. That's all that matters.
I think there's a 0 chance.
All right.
To be perfectly honest.
We're taking one more break.
I'd agree with that.
When we're back, it's last call. It's time to try to pick up Matthew with our best bets for the weekend.
Yeah. Who's taking me home? Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotorWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto-World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.